Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Friday, July 22nd, 2022. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Friday, everyone. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. In the recent weeks, since last Thursday, really. Last Thursday, we had a strong, decent low off of higher lows support. A nice follow through on Friday, and then early this week, a pullback and continuation to the upside. Very surprising and strong continuation, especially to end the days. Each of these ending the days with bounces here and holding gains into the close. Today could be another one of those days. It could be another buy the early morning weakness for late day strength type of play. Again, uptrending market here. We had a continuation in the previous day, still fairly narrow 2-day range, 3-day range, but with an upward bias right now. One thing to keep in mind is we've broken clean through the previous month's midpoint and have held above it, and that opens up the previous month's high. Still way up here, but that's the next key level above from that perspective. Additionally, if you're looking at the quarterly pivots, which I do have marked on the chart right now, the quarterly pivots here, we've seen no rejection at the low because we never got there. Instead, the previous quarter's close there went bid on multiple occasions, and now we're pushing higher toward the previous month's midpoint. That's just above the 4100 level, or previous quarter's midpoint rather, which is just above the 4100 level there. So again, based off of a couple of different pivots here, more upside could be seen in the very short term. Again, this is a market where after every strong move up, we've seen rejections. For the most part, we could see a little bit more strength up ahead before a pullback occurs. So again, right now, early morning strength or early morning weakness to be bought for late day strength, and a likely continuation to the upside on a near-term basis. If we take a look here at the ENQQ, similar price action here. This one burst through the upper pivot there of the pivot range. That's the midpoint of the previous month's range, and that opens up the previous month's high. So far, this thing has done really well this week, especially from the last Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday. The lows there, since that point, this thing has been nothing but strong and continuing higher. Not marching higher in a fantastic pace, but holding gains and rallying, holding gains, rallying, holding gains, rallying. So it's done a good job in that manner. Again, you have the previous month's high that could be ahead based on the fact that you've broken through the previous month's midpoint. Additionally, here are your quarterly pivots: quarterly low, quarterly close, quarterly mid, way up there. So rejecting off the close on multiple occasions and working higher, the next pivot above is that quarterly midpoint. That's above the previous month's high there, just shy of the 13.2s. We take a look here at crude oil. Crude oil had quite a bit of selling pressure in the previous session here. We were looking for that type of price action. It looked very similar to what we've seen already over here just a couple of weeks before. The bottom came out a bit yesterday, but it happened all very early in the day. The whole range was in by the time RTH came around, basically. So it held those losses into the close. This morning already, morning strength has been defended for new lows, and we could see a continuation to the downside to new lows below this low over the next 1 to 3 days. So we still have perhaps 1 to 3 days of weakness, including today, based on a swing basis and the current price action of this trend. All right, let's take a look now at Bitcoin. Bitcoin up right now 1.85%. A little bit of a pullback from the highs here recently, but failed new low yesterday. Inside day with a continuation so far today, or almost an inside day. Uptrend here. When you quantify this 6-day move, it is the biggest 6-day move we've seen since the tail end of the biggest rally we've seen. That 6-day move right here was bigger than this one, but this is the biggest one since then, because it's all been very bearish here since then. So that's not a bad move. Can price hold these gains? Can we see a nice continuation to the upside here? Perhaps so. but that all happens if pricing continue to hold 22K. Holding 22K, and we may be able to see a bounce back toward 28 and fill in this upper portion of the distribution. All right, taking a look now at ETH. One thing to look at with ETH is, again, the previous month's midpoint, much like the ES and the ENQQ. This thing pushing through the mid right here, and when you push and hold the mid, you open up the previous highs. So we could be looking at a big time bounce, a doubling of price from the 1,000 level back up. If you look at the quarterly pivots, previous quarter's close, previous quarter's low, right on top of each other. Previous quarter's midpoint is still way above because it was such a wide quarter, but that's it right there. So all the way up to 2,300 would be your previous quarter's midpoint. So from that perspective, a quarterly perspective, we may still have all the way to this level to get to. From a shorter term perspective, getting above the previous midpoint would open up this black line right there. So those are your two major targets above from a PivotBoss pivots perspective with ETH. Can this thing hold on? Right now, this is the biggest bounce we've seen since the last one that got taken for a ride to the downside. So it could still see selling pressure once it gets done with its bounce here, but the very short term at least suggests more upside toward composite VWAP and perhaps at least back toward 2,000, the previous month's high. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Again, happy Friday. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Have fun, take care, and I'll see you in the trading room. See you soon.